person to come up and speak is someone that I have the utmost respect for. It is someone that massively helped me in the beginning of my career. She doesn't know I'm going to say this either. All the videos that I watched from her, I was in awe, and it is actually a really good honour to introduce her. So, Rebecca.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting such a nice intro, so appreciate that, Rob. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Crystal Maze. I'm going to start throwing business cards at you to catch like the golden tickets in a minute, because this venue is amazing. So props to the Space 48 team for putting it on and choosing such a great venue. I would like to tell you a story. So I'm not going to teach you anything like a lot of the other talkers have put you through and shown you today. I've not really got that much value to add, I feel, but I am going to tell you a story about a recent experience that I've had. So recent, in fact, that you could probably class it as a current experience. So 6 months ago, I hit rock bottom. I'd been working in a job that was sucking the literal life out of me. And don't get me wrong, it was a great job on paper, amazing day rate, really large international client, long-term contract, perfect for the CV, great job. But it was also the most toxic working environment I've ever been in. And it started to take a real toll on my physical and my mental health. And before long, I just felt like I was failing in every aspect of my life. And all of the work that I'd put into build my career, build my confidence, I felt was just circling the drain along with my well-being. And I'd reached my absolute limit. I'm going to use this little clicker now to get to my next slide. I was so stressed, I was so anxious, it was game over. And the worst part is that for the longest time I didn't even realise that was what was happening. I just kept pushing and telling myself that it was going to get better. But spoiler alert, it didn't. And the problem with mental illness is it builds super slow in the background until you look up one day and you realise you're in the dark and it feels like there's no way out. Because I knew I was stressed, I knew I was anxious, I knew I was not really functioning like a person. But we do become our own worst enemy in those situations, and the way that we speak to ourselves is not the best. So, I was telling myself, I'm just an idiot, it's really not that bad, I'm just being dramatic, I should be working harder, I should be grateful. High-paid jobs, they come with stress. It's just part of climbing the corporate ladder. It's what else do you expect, really? Just suck it up, is what I would say to myself. But I would never say that to anyone in this room, or anybody, in fact. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that, and the way that we speak to ourselves is completely different as to how we would speak to anyone else, which is crazy because nobody else does as much for you as you do. Just getting up in the morning is a miracle and should be, treated as such. But yeah. Oh, the notes haven't changed. Mr. Notemaster. Sorry, let me go back to that one. Go back a slide. Go back one. Technical difficulties, you always get them. My laptop decided it wasn't going to use two screens and only one, so now me and the tech guy are working together. But where was I? Yes, this experience did teach me a valuable lesson, and sorry, I've completely lost where I was. Let me just read my notes, please hold. But yeah, I'd completely lost myself, obviously. I didn't know what I could contribute anymore. I definitely wouldn't have done anything like this even 6 months ago again, and 4 years ago. I was doing it constantly. I know so many people in this room already because of all the events that I attended, and I was so lucky to attend so many events and speak at so many events. But at that point, I was just lost, completely lost. I was pushing everyone away. or trying to. Luckily, my partner Sam, she didn't give up on me, and I wouldn't be here without her. She has no idea what any of you are talking about, by the way. She's here with me today, and she's sat there watching these talks, bless her, with no idea what Magento even does. So, yeah, props to her for that, because it's a lot to take in when you don't know what you're dealing with. But I'll be honest with you, it was really, really shit. But I promise this whole talk isn't all doom and gloom. And I am getting towards the end of this therapy session that you did not ask to be a part of. Because like I say, I did learn something from this experience, and that is what I'm here to talk to you about today, in the hopes that if you know anyone who's feeling this way, or if you have any relatable experiences to what I've been going through, that you can feel like you're not alone. Because it could potentially be up to about 50 or 60 people in this room who feel like that, because the largest study in the UK of work happiness found around 36% of people are unhappy in their jobs. So if you are feeling like you're stuck in that similar situation, you're definitely not alone. You're not failing at life. And maybe I could inspire you to take a look at your own career path in the way that I have. So I'm sure that I'm not the only one. But when it comes to my career, the passion versus paycheck seesaw kind of looked a little bit like this, with all the weight on the money side. That's why we go to work. We work hard to play hard. We do it for the money. But I am realising that is one of the most damaging mindsets that you can have when you're trying to get through this life. We all need to work to earn money, obviously, but we definitely don't need to suffer for it. And giving just as much weight to passion and happiness and enjoyment is so important, because that uneven seesaw is why I've been miserable for the last 6 to 8 months. But I was feeling like I couldn't leave because the money was so good. Girls got to eat. And, was I truly passionate about what I was doing anymore? No. Did it give me any joy, any fulfillment? Absolutely not. It wasn't even remotely enjoyable. My boss was an absolute arsehole whose opinions on gender, ethics, any minority just didn't even belong in the 1950s. It was horrendous. He was a terrible manager, worst leader. I could go on. But, like I say, you feel like you have to just suck it up. You're just there to do your job, and then you just go home. The money. I kept looking at that money. And next slide, please, Maestro. The problem is, when you are focusing like that, is you start to realise that the Beatles had it right when they said, I don't care too much for money, because money can't buy me love. Because once that little love heart has flung off the screen, never to be seen again, it is so difficult to get it back. And what we're left with is just a pile of money and no happiness or fulfillment. So I recently made a choice, and it was a difficult choice, but it was necessary to prioritise my passion and get back to actually what I enjoy doing. It wasn't an easy decision, and as a family we are having to make sacrifices and changes, but we know it was the right one. And now I can gladly say I've found a job with a team that supports me and respects me, and I feel like I'm doing something exciting and innovative again, and not just sulking and feeling like a mat that you wipe your shoes on. So the sad thing is, 1 in 10 people actually start to feel unhappy in a job after just 6 months or less. And as I experienced, the unhappiness doesn't just stay at work. And more than a quarter of people say that they struggle to find enjoyment in other parts of their lives when they're unhappy at work. Because, eventually all of those frustrations start taking a toll on everything around them, and they start being taken out on those closest to them as well. I'm ashamed to admit the amount of times that I've said, I'm sorry, I'm just stressed, work's just drowning me, after an argument. We spend 1/3 of our lives at work, and it's such a huge percentage of our life, it definitely cannot just be shrugged off and ignored. Happiness at work is definitely not just a privilege, it's a fundamental right. And we all have the right to be happy at work. That's the basic of it. It sounds so obvious when you say it, obviously, but it does just get overlooked so often. But if you're not happy, it will start to drain everything about your existence. It'll drain your energy, it'll drain your motivation, and then the longer you stay in that situation, the harder it feels to get out, because it just feels like I'm useless. I can't actually, there's nothing else I can do. I can't leave because I'm no value anywhere else. So how can we recognise if we're unhappy, and what can we do about it? So for me, the big reddest flags that I sprinted straight past that say something's got to change are, it's all-consuming. You spend more than 50% of your waking time thinking, worrying, doing work. It shouldn't be like that. There needs to be balance. You get the work eve dread, as I call it. So, the night before, you've got that horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach, you just feel sick, and you just know you don't want to start the next day already. Brushing it off. So the amount of conversations I'd have where I'd be like, somebody'd say, oh, how's work? And you're like, oh, stressful, I hate it. But it's work, it's like, that's normal. It's not. But, you have those kind of you just don't really talk about it. You're just like, yeah, it's horrendous. How's the kids kind of thing. Procrastination. So this, just having no motivation to actually do your job. You really try, you do try. It's a weird experience because you're trying to do work, but it just feels like there's a barrier there. You just, you don't get around to it till the last minute. You just have no motivation. And isolation. So, you have no friends at work. It's quite a big warning sign, and studies of workplace engagement have shown that one of the strongest factors of workplace happiness is having a friend at work, just having someone that you can talk to and share experiences with. And then imposter syndrome. So this is a big one for me personally. I get it anyway, even in a happy job environment. So when I'm in an unhappy environment, that feeling like a fraud, feeling like a phony, just doubles down on you, and it gets to the point of just sheer paranoia. Like every meeting I had with my boss, I thought I was getting fired. I thought, this is it. And it was a horrendous meeting, but for some reason, unfortunately, I never got fired. It might have been a blessing in disguise if I had. And then the physical symptoms. So, insomnia, headaches, just general lack of energy, and muscle tensions, things that you just wouldn't necessarily always put down to being a mental health issue, that actually 9 times out of 10 end up being that. And they just all leave you with one thing to do, and that's fix or quit. Go back. Sorry, I pressed it too soon. Sorry. This trigger, I've got shaky hands apparently. So yeah, fix or quit. And I'm not here to say, right, everybody quit your job. I can see the managers in the room panicking. They're like, oh God, this woman's just told my entire team to quit their job. I am not starting a revolution. Please do not quit your job. Unless you're as miserable as I was, then please do. But I just wanted to come here and connect with you all and remind you to just keep a close eye on your mental health and the effects of your workplace environment on your well-being. If your job does not make you happy, you should try and see if you can fix it. If you have got that supportive workplace, it is worth trying to fix it. But if there's no hope and it's got to the point of no return, it's time to move on. And trust me when I say I know the cost of leaving a bad job can seem extremely high. The effects are obviously immediate, but I know firsthand that the cost of staying in a bad job is much, much worse, and the effects can be even higher. And myself and anyone I've spoke to who have been in a similar situation, which it's not uncommon to be honest, everyone that I spoke to has never said to me, oh, I wish I'd stayed longer. Every time it's, no, I should have left sooner. I should have left sooner, I should have got out. And trust me, you can do it. You just have to trust your gut. Remember that you're a human being. You're not meant to be perfect, and you're doing amazingly as it is. And then with my final slide, I just want to share this quote with you, which I related to on this journey from one of the many American presidents. But happiness is not in the mere possession of money. It lies in the joy of achievement and in the thrill of creative effort. You need to rebalance your seesaw. And that is my final slide. I think I flew through that super quick, so I apologise if it was a bit too fast. So we're also doing a panel after lunch for the future of Magento. We've got a Slido up where you can submit questions and things, so I'll be hosting that and speaking to people on there. So feel free to scan that QR code, have a look at the questions, give them upvotes, fill out the surveys, etc., and we'll do an engaging talk later. But for now, I don't know if we've got time for questions or if you want the time back. I don't even know what time I was meant to finish. Now, perfect. Right then, see ya.